All right, folks, settle in nice and easy under those cozy blankets. Tonight, we're drifting back into the shadowy, quirky, and sometimes downright eerie realm of old-time healing in the Middle Ages. Picture a land where figuring out if a baby's on the way lean heavy on old wives' tales rather than cold, hard facts. Before we wander too deep, if this kind of tale tickles your fancy, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and join the crew by subscribing. Drop a note down below about where you're cozying up from and what hour the clock's striking for you. It's always a warm glow seeing folks from all corners of the globe tuning in. Now, soften those lights. Maybe let a gentle breeze whisper through the window. We're about to slip into this quiet, peculiar adventure side by side. You know, if today's doctor visits leave you scratching your head, just think about folks back then. We're staying healthy boiled down to balancing for inner juices like some emotional symphony. In those misty European days, everybody was seen as a swirling brew of blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Get one out of whack, and bam, you're ailing bad, maybe haunted by spirits, or worse. Those healers had no fancy lenses to peek at tiny bugs. No clue about keeping things clean and hygiene. That was more a suggestion than a rule. What they brought to the table was a fancy cloak, a smattering of ancient tongue, and a heap of bold swagger. They'd size up woes from sore feet to shatter hearts, or even ghostly meddling, just by gripping your arm and acting like they could sense fate pulsing through. Spotting a little one coming along was another riddle wrapped in guesswork and borrowed essences from the body when a lady reckoned she might be carrying. The neighborhood doc, really just a fellow with a collection of pots, would show up like a wise old sage. He'd pose a couple grave queries, eye her complexion with a squint, and say he needed a bitter liquid. Yeah, that meant her water, 'cause back then, healing always circled back to that golden stream. To them, it was like reading a life's diary. Its hue, its scent, its feel, and maybe a sign from above. Bright and bubbly? Could be a yes. Dull and down? Probably not. Frogs popping up? Well, that screamed dark arts. Most of those healers followed a why the heck not mindset. If an idea had enough mystery sparkle, it counted as solid knowledge. They truly thought the baby-making spot was like a restless animal, meandering inside a woman's frame and stirring up tempers. One old scroll from the 1300s suggested luring a home with sweet scents, which makes you wonder what passed for delightful back then. But hey, let's cut him some slack. They were fumbling in the dark without tools to spot tiny life sparks or body signals, clueless on basics beyond baking loaves. What they missed in precision, they nailed with flair, and that bold front seemed to heal half the troubles anyway. Out of all the wild ways to check for a bun in the oven across those old lands, nothing beat the fame or the farmyard feel of the grain-sprouting ritual. It was straightforward, didn't cost a dime, and yeah, a tad gross. The lady would let her stream flow over two little heaps, one of wheat seeds, one of barley, and then folks would hang tight for a spell. If shoots poked up from either, word was she had a little one brewing. Both sprouting, even sweeter. The wise woman might call it doubles or say the child with luck on their side. Nothing growing could mean no luck in bearing a hex or just needing more water. Old writings from the 1300s claim barley shooting first signaled the son, wheat a daughter. So, in their eyes, the earth itself was not just saying yes to new life, but spilling the beans on boy or girl, way before fancy parties with popping colors. It's got a quiet charm to it, almost like a verse from nature. Fresh beginnings spotting fresh beginnings, with everyone gathered round gazing at soggy grains like it was a wonder. The thinking behind it, though nutty, carried a graceful old-world touch. They figured a carrying woman's flow held a spark of creation, some enchanted mist that could nudge seeds awake from slumber. It was like poetry in living things. The cradle of life calls, the soil answers, and hearts swell with joy. That it hit the mark now and then only fuel the fire. Today's experts gave a whirl and, believe it or not, spotted a sliver of sense. Higher sparks of womanly essence in that state can nudge growth a bit faster. Sure, it might pan out, but only if you overlook stashing jars in the heart for days and dubbing it heavenly wisdom. Picture the fella at home, pacing for news. Honey, the barley's peeking through. That's grand. Now chuck it out before it starts thinking. The aroma could have sent whole hamlets to their knees in plea. But for those times, this was top-shelf sleuthing. No price tag, no need for book smarts, and it had that earthy appeal. Healers and birth helpers vouched for it strong, along with endless ladies short on choices. If those old Europeans had a saying to live by, it'd be when stumped, pour in the vino. It fixed scrapes, sorrows, shy spells, and sure enough, sniffing out bundles of joy. This trick hailed from the scholarly types in later years who reckoned mixing a lady's stream with grape brew was the smart play to spot a coming child. Let it sit, and if it stayed pure and see-through, she was in the family way. If it muddied or lumped up, nope. Somewhere, a holy man was tipping his hat, 'cause this at least mimicked real mixing know-how. The idea sprang from thinking the brew's cleanness only danced with wholesome or blessed flows. Carrying life, they said, flooded her with holy glow, so her stream wouldn't sour the sip, which is one spin on it. Or maybe those docs just crave a reason to tipple during duties. Here's the drill. She hands over her sample. The healer add a hearty glut of crimson or pale, and all eyes lock on. He'd twirl it with flair, like tasting a fine vintage, remark on the whiff, bold, with hints of yearning, and laid down the call. At minimum, it dressed up like real expertise. Sometimes, pure luck made it click. Fresh studies hint that spirits can tangle with bits in the flow that shift during that time. But back then, the main kick was queasy guts. You can almost hear the healer muttering, "Ain't pure know-how, but it sure feels like it." Outcomes swung wild. Some bubbled, some clotted, some just reeked of second thoughts. The docs take hinge on how foul it hit his nose. If it wrinkled him up, likely a lad. Gotta hand it to that old-time grit for probing, even matched with rotten calls. This was an era where that golden flow wasn't trash. It was clues, and the healer's cup a makeshift lab. Among the odd checks from those days, few stick in the mind or sting the senses like the bulb in the night trick. It wandered over from far-off sands, meandered through wise lands, and landed in those misty realms with folks grabbing it like gospel. The deal, a lady wondering about a little one would tuck a strip bulb or a pungent bud deep inside for the dark hours. Come dawn, the healer, or heaven forbid her partner, would sniff her words. If the tang lingered on her exhale, her inner space was clear, no bundle. Sweet breath, sealed tight, baby incoming. The reasoning was wildly twisted, but somehow fitting their world. They saw that cradle spot as more than a maker of life, a straight path linking lips to lower realms, like a body's secret corridor that vented whispers, kind of like reckoning. If the scent climbs high, the depths are open. Some healers even gauge by how far the whiff roamed, sorting ladies from lightly flavored to locked by fate's hand. Those folks never skimped on nerve, just grace. What twists the knife is it clicked in their heads. Dusty tones painted that inner spot as a moody beast, prone to drifting and sparking woes like dizzy spells or wild moods, or breath sans tang. The fix? Scent coaxing. Draw it steady with lovely waft below and harsh ones above. Healing at its dreamiest bend. Imagine the weary souls holding steady as a fellow with mangled old words deemed her veiled in enigma. For some, a touch of shame. For others, pure dread. But for healers, just routine veggie detective work. In the grand hall of old healing wonders, that bulb trick earns a spotlight, best kept distant from fresh air. As years rolled on, it morphed or soured, depending on your nose, into the pungent breath probe. 'Cause if folks shine at one thing, it's piling on a sour notion and turning up the stink. Set up mirror clothes, snag a sharp clove, place it where it don't fit, hold through the night. Morning light, a so-called expert leans near, draws in her air. If the bite drifts up, body's pathways free, no little one. No hint? Joy, you're brewing, and likely steering clear of close talk forever. The why was, as ever, charmingly off-kilter. Healers figured breezes flowed unchecked through her frame, tying tongue, breathers, ticker, and cradle in one long haul. So this was like checking the pipes. If the closed mist reached the mouth, all clear. Blocked? A tiny tenant in the way. Half old lore, half crude body map. After all, they mapped folks with zilch gadgets and sketches that look like a kid's wild doodles. Yet they scribbled it bold as brass. One doc noted, the aroma, flowing free, proves the space empty. Meaning, beats me, but it sounds deep. This wasn't backwoods, hocus pocus neither. It filled learned pages, handed down ages. Even fresh-thinking healers in blooming times clung to the clove lore. Growth smelled like a meal. Sure, not all stuck to cloves. Some picked bulbs, greens, or soft blooms for milder outcomes. So those lands were spots where a healer's den might hand you a garden mix. Eventually, old healing reckoned if greens and grains fell short, maybe shiny stuff could shine light. Enter the Gleam Shift Probe, a classy trial that looped back to that stream, 'cause apparently nobody tired of eyeing it under fresh glows. Gather a flow, drizzle over a flat of lead, tin, or rare copper, and watch. If it dulled, pitted, or tinted, she was carrying. No shift? Empty nest. Smoking metal? Heavenly nudge, or maybe toxic haze. Thinking was that state tweaked her flow's purity, and noble shines would sense the holy tweak by nature. Mixing arts before real mixing, or truthfully, before grasping a lick of it. Notion that heaven's picks could sniff a budding soul was deep verse and deep folly. Outcomes flipped. Some shine quick, others stone still. Sometimes a healer just sighed. It gleams with grace and tallied the fee. Trust in it rode on damp air, and how long the doc fancied gazing at a pea puddle. But oddly, it echoed a budding wonder for worldly stuff. This sparked the Mixmaster era, when knowing and mystery shared a roof without lines. From quicksilver to moonbeams, all hid secrets. If rocks turned rich, surely her flow could whisper of a growing spirit. Laugh easy, but their drive stirs a quiet respect. They crave truths, just sand scopes, heat measures, and any real scoop on inner works. Those old souls cherish signs. Flames cleanse, glows truth told, and that flow? Unavoidable fate. So, of course, somebody blended them into one healing gem. The Flame Whisper. World's earliest shot at making baby checks a spirit chat. Set up plain but showy. Snag a vessel of her stream. Spark a wick, hover it above. Watch close. Flicker, little one aboard. Steady burn, no dice. Snuff out, either empty or air-starved. Test done. No mere Hamlet ploy. Schooled healers in fine threads did it, clueless on fire's ways. They thought that state freed faint mist from her, unseen life breaths rising to tease the light. Quiver meant inner stirrings divine. Still, try again come spring. Envision it. A bent healer over soft glow, chanting old words as a quiet lady waits, her essence warming in brass. Makes you thankful for lab-born days. In notion, lovely, light unveiling life, heat echoing form. In truth, bunk, outcome swayed by breezes, wet air or doc's patience. Many got the nod, 'cause a door creaked, but to them, a dancing wick held godly weight. Knowing and wonder chatted easy, mysteries turned holy. Pregnancy wasn't just body doings, a star vent, flames jig, soul's first bow, not mere wind. From all those checks in misty lands, few matched the mystic ache of the lock-in vision way. Half know-how, half shadow arts, pure whimsy. Drill, lady with doubts tucks a metal opener under her rest spot. Dawn, she shares night visions. Kids, growth or brightness. Bundle coming. Shadows, tempest jam gates. Barren path. Like mind probing with edge. In some spots across rolling hills and vine lands, it skipped a cushion, strapped a limb, or belly near life's core. 'Cause peaceful slumber loves a poke from your own clue finder. Rooted in old signs, openers meant revealing paths, riddles, and here, inner spaces. Close to a dozing soul, vision spilled bodies hides. Mind and cradle, kin in shadows, which rings sweet to recalling writers who thought a huff could end it all. For lots of ladies, less shaming than most, no bulbs, no vessels, no warming pots. Just metal, rest, and fuzzy morning chats. Trouble was visions played tricks. Saw a bird nabbing fruit, might mean pears or dark forces. Healers each spun their vision yarns. One said wet dreams meant carrying, another gut woes. This lock vision peak shows old thinking. Craving pattern and mess mystery to verse. Flop, blame the rust. For folks fixated on flows, blood was bound to enter the chat. So rose a flashy, messy check, the red drop sign. Started like most, pointy tool and overbold trust. Healer nicks her limb, gathers crimson beads, drops M in clear pool. All huddle, cause sans tails or shows this was prime thrill. Spread smooth, currying, clump, lass, sink, whoa, float, cheers with holy stamp and extra coin. Healing met leaf gazing, but bloodier. Thinking, that state cleanser red river, lifting it heavenward. Sinking red, stained by wrong, gloom, or supper. Fate on a sneeze near the bowl. Flubs happened. Red acted wild. Healers winged it. Spirit's fault or her fibs. One said red bashful. Pure method. Yet the right held weight. Red as life's mark. Seeing it swirl in what was glimpsing birth spark. Messy like the real deal. Fitting. Imagine ladies enduring. Giving red to vessels as cloaked man peers, whispers. Light as feathers, mother's glow. If a lady dodged jars, bulbs close, and red letting, one last gaze awaited. The sight probe. No gadgets, green chance. Just a fellow locking eyes till a blink. Per 1200s to 1300 scrolls. Carrying showed in the windows to the soul. Early on, one wrote soft. Her look eases, centers fade, damp gleam. Another, threads redden leap. Third, eyes burn with hidden spark, which poetically means weary. Stray from then, sans life lore. Eyes mirrored essence, and double essence meant double shine. Math, flawed. In doings, heavy gazing. Bearded healer nears. Wick dances, mumbles holy wet. Ladies felt spectered more than checked. Yet it passed as healing. Favored by bookish types in silk. Quoting old sages wrong. Better than body pokes. Scary, riddle-filled. Social ease, too. No stripping, no jars, no clothes. Gaze here, ma'am. Pause, then grave. Mother's light shines. Meaning. Stared plenty, pay up. Least poking way. But eeriest gig. Eyelock wizard. Side seer. While bookmen stirred brews. Flamed overflows. Faked old tongues. True knowers toiled. The birth guides. No need for bulbs, grains, red bowls. They packed real gold. Season seen, sharp watches, spotting bluffs and just full. Those ladies witnessed storms. Unsung scouts in a guest-loving age sans numbers, but rich in whispers. Docs penned life sparks. Guides caught 'em in dim huts, deep in wonders. Their checks? Plain, trusty over uni fancies. Felt beats, noted hues, watch steps, marked hungers, wears. Spotted weeks afore flame jigs, or shoots. No clove waves. There hit sparked envy. Bearded bosses puzzled at beardless wisdom. Holy halls cried dark arts, too skilled for plain. One guide quipped, inner voice speaks what lips hide. To a 1300s holy, sorcery pure. Yet they endured spite, tending lines of moms, often gratis or for loaves. Gut feel, keen sight, mouth pass lore. Mostly spot on. Funny guides, not scribes or robes. Birth true knowing, watch spot trends hands on. Eunice shunned that. By later years, flow gazing turned full job. No side gig, no grim day, a path. Called flow seers, diagnostic stars. Strutted in soft cloaks, toting clear vials of others' essences. Selling respect. Core, the flow vessel or sea glass. Held to glow, swirled like choice sip. Scan for tint clearness fizz signs. Pale gold? Fine. Reddish, heat, murky, carrying, black, essence fleeing. Even hue wheels, fancy circles of 40 yellows like godly shade pickers. Point of bright hope or dim sorrow, acting divine decorators. Portable too, rich scent flows by runner. 1300s postdoc. Back came scroll verdict. No chats, no backsies. Some claim not just carrying, but kids bent, joyful, sturdy, blue. Flow had soul. Drew cheats. Fake scrolls, hue crams, wise nods on blanks. Deep layers. Old for clueless. Yet faith held. Sans labs. Glass was peak tool. Early body read via toss. Raw, yucky, but earnest old probe inward, vial by vial. Church eyes soon caught the brew. Flows under flames, lock slumbers, bulbs in odd spots. With heaven ruling all, no room for homebody probes. Holy men dubbed them empty whims. Code for God poking. Only sky will show inner life. Peeking with clothes? Hubris or shadows. Satan's plot. Spotting skips. Carrying was holy riddle. Pure mother raised stakes. No letting plain frames game guesses. Slammed rights looking spell-like. Brew flow mix witchy. Shoot grains earth old. Flame probes lit sin. But old lands being themselves, bands boosted buzz. Holy no-no added secret thrill. Better than purity talks for some. Birth guides, already eyed, hid work, religion, reason, pinch. Church okayed some healing, just hated skipping holy cuts. Ill? Spill sins. Dying? Faster. Carrying? No wrong, no spill, no coin. God gap. Church half right. Messy, risky checks. But squashing slowed real grasp. Balance odd. Pious sky plea. Curious flow gaze for life echo. Now and then in healing mess, wonder sparked. Lure that oddly hit, not from grasp, but luck and crack views. Grain P-check, labs revisited. Found estrogen nudge growth. Old folks accidentally bio-tested pre-tools, then smothered in clothes and faith. Brew test 2. Spirits tangle pregnancy bits. Spotty, but enough for keeps and work sips. History theme, lore stumbling science. Clues everywhere but sans reads, all right. Experiments unknowing, heal magic faith mix. Grit admirable, twice right. Sacred, fail. Shadows, review, loud old words. That blend birth know how ages. Taught body study possible, even wrong ends. Jars, seeds, brews grew to mix arts, body maps, herb heals. Bloom time dawned. Sniffing breaths and flow boil seen as not base. Shift sticky, not swift, like mud trek with wick and notion. Old checks lingered in far spots post new learning tower towns. Birth guides still sprouted quiet as schools flowered. Shift, wonder unsuspicious. Why over curse? Mix masters to mixers. Green knowers to dose makers, drifter spot fixed. Body puzzle over God riddle, gross, but priest-free study. 1800s caught hints. Beast flows and sparks, grain jarkin and coats. Mid-1900s clean stick came, private bulb free. Corsame, flow on thing, wait fate. Now clean, lone, sans flame faith words. Easy to chuckle at old folly. But human spark shines, guessing, trying, wishing with dim glows, no clean. Flops build our clean path. Now, we're drifting back to those early days when the Puritans braved the wild, churning ocean, saying they were running from Europe's wicked ways. The fancy rulers, the shady church bosses, the downright mess of crowded streets. But the place they carved out over here wasn't some perfect garden. It was more like a tough melting pot, shaped by worry and deep belief, where every little choice got judged like it decided your forever after. In those fresh little spots up in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and down in Virginia, the tall church towers popped up before any drinking spots, and the preacher's words rang out stronger than folks chuckling over a joke. The Almighty was in every corner, and so was that nagging doubt about dark forces lurking. Belief wasn't just something in your heart. It was a rule book. Preachers didn't just tend to spirits. They bossed folks on clothes, jobs, weddings, even what flickered in dreams. Speaking out against it, that was like betraying the whole setup, and sneaky urges felt like foes, hiding right out in the open. Those Puritan outposts held tight with ironclad rules on right and wrong. But under all that talk of being spotless, regular human slip-ups bubbled up quiet-like. Church leaders holler about staying pure, yet they'd chat a bit too long with lonely ladies. Older folks ranted on goodness while slipping extra coins into their pockets from offerings. Wrongdoing didn't need a boat ride. It was already unpacked and settled in before the anchors dropped. Old church logs from the 1600s and 1700s paint a picture of folks fixated on keeping order, getting tipsy, kicking up your heels in a dance, spreading tales, or even giggling at the wrong moment could land you in hot water. But for all their fire and drive, they were just people, and bottling up stuff like that led to blow-ups. Hidden wants stewed away behind latch windows, and when dirt finally spilled out, it hit like a thunderclap from above. Belief and clout went hand in hand. A preacher say-so could wreck names, bust up homes, and even swing a noose. But once folks got a taste of that sway, it went to their heads like strong brew. In places like Salem, Hartford, and Boston, holy matters mixed right in with running the show. Preachers turned into unofficial bosses, swinging their talks like clubs. The speaking spot up front became a high seat, and any competing group turned into a fight zone. And in all that heavy righteousness, stories started swirling. A church man nabbed in a bad spot might point fingers at spells. A competing bunch could cry foul about hidden evils. Behind each blame game, jealousy, grudges, or hidden cravings hid under fancy robes. That God-honoring setup in early America wasn't just full of true believers. It was packed with folks scared of their own reflections. Dark powers, they reckoned, snuck around the wild edges. But more times than not, that shadow looked like the neighbor a couple seats over, grinning through the hymns. Back then, church leaders stood tall as the top judges of what's right, guys picked by the heavens to steer the good folks along. They unpacked holy words, decided on eternal fates, and laid down the rules from on high. But behind that serious front up at the stand, plenty hauled around secrets that'd shock even the toughest wrongdoers sitting in the benches. The twist a holy man tumbling into wrongdoing was like catnip to a crowd that saw good and bad as a huge showdown in the stars. One of the first big messes kicked up dust with Reverend Henry Smith out in Wethersfield, Connecticut. Back in the 1640s, his heated talks against bad ways got folks quaking and wide-eyed, till quiet chatter started floating around. Fingers pointed at him for grabbing too much, being mean, and messing around with a house helper. His group split down the middle. His good name crumbled, and Smith hightailed it to who knows where. His tumble turned into a caution tale. When the one speaking for the divine slipped up, the whole bunch shook like leaves in a storm. But he wasn't flying solo. All over those spots, church heads got tangled in messes over heart stuff and coin. Some got busted skimming from the offering plate or twisting donations for their own pockets. Others, way worse, faced talk of stepping out or acting wrong with folks coming for a kind word. Each uncover ripped right through the tight-knit world, showing a hard fact that being saintly and two-faced often shared the same spot up front. These blow-ups weren't just private heartbreaks. They turned into town-wide shows. The whole crowd became the jury box. The weekly talks flipped into question sessions. Church leaders were supposed to be walking perfection from above, but they were fellas wrapped in poles, made stronger by their spot. A gentle check-in with a sad widow could slide into a hushed fling. A nice gesture to a young helper could open doors to downfall. And since those places didn't split wholly from governing, messing up morally wasn't just embarrassing. It was like ending your run in the big game. In a setup where belief touched every bit of living, a preacher's drop was like the shadows scoring a win. Folks took those messes as signs that bad forces had snuck into the holy spots themselves. Folks had to spill their guts. Penalties came quick, and the wheel of wrongdoing and rescue kept spinning. The ones who used to claim they could save spirits turned into pictures of rot, their words bouncing back with the hidden slips they couldn't shake. Holy matters in those early spots weren't quiet whispers to the sky. It was a scrap fought with long talks, printed flyers, and folks getting shamed in front of everyone. Holy buildings were more than prayer spots. They were hubs for calling shots, swapping stories, and keeping tabs. Church heads vied for followers like captains hunting recruits, and groups often broke into grumpy sides over deep thoughts, who led and where the coins went. Every little spat, no matter how tiny, got painted as a huge clash between light and dark. At the core of those breaks sat ego and big dreams. Preachers called out competing ones for wrong teachings, grabbing too much, or going against the grain, often hiding envy behind holy fire. Groups shattered, spinning off fresh bunches that swore they were the real deal followers. In Boston, the fuss around in Hutchinson in the 1630s laid bare the shaky holy ground. Hutchinson, a birth helper and deep thinker on spirit stuff, started sharing that kindness from above came straight, not through middlemen. For that, she got hauled in and kicked out, not just for her ideas, but 'cause she rattled the guys in charge in a world run from the front spot. Her boot marked a shift. Belief wasn't just trust anymore. It mixed right in with running things. Each fresh holy spot carried echoes from the last. Hard feelings, backstabs, and big ones dressed up as goodness. Church leaders grew their crowds by going after others, using their words to whip up scares and stick togetherness. The wilder the blame, the bigger the bunch showing up come the weekend. Early holy ways fed on the drama, and those leaders figured quick that getting folks rile-filled seats faster than plain old readings. Fights over coins dug the gaps deeper. Some holy groups bickered on shares, pointing at others for wasting holy bucks on fancy gathering spots or shiny meal gear. Others squabbled on who picked or ditched the leaders, the crowd or the big boss from afar. These clashes often landed in open question sessions that muddied lines between judgment halls and worship times. In that era, trust was more show than true heart stuff. Folks sized up each other's goodness like panels, and rescue turned into a race. The holy spot, meant to pull together, instead cracked the places into non-stop grudges. And in those grudges, the quiet tales of mess grew louder. For every word on the skies above, there hid a secret fight, a tucked-away fling, or a wish muttered in green-eyed want. Signs that under the songs and cheers, clout, not true heart, called the shots of the divine den. Come the tail end of the 1600s, holy matters and messes in those early lands took a gloomier turn. Scary tales became the strongest pull. When church heads couldn't hold folks tight with just trust, they leaned on the shadows, spells and such, that old lurking fear, turned into the go-to for every hiccup, bad harvests, quick sicknesses, or folks falling apart. And under those blames often sat scheming green eyes and payback. The Salem spell hunt of 1692 stick out as the wildest, but the frenzy had deeper digs. Church leaders and rule keepers saw dark forces as much a foe in the game as in the spirit. Pointing fingers at spells wasn't just holy talk. It was a tool to swing. A competing kin could get wrecked overnight. A naysayer shut up. A lady questioning the top could swing from a branch. And all wrapped in heavenly approval. From behind the front spot, speakers like Cotton Mather boomed on unseen shadows and writing from above. But folks looking back now see those words as stage plays for crowd. Those places were shaky, hit with bugs, hard times scraping by, and clashes with local folks. In all that unsure mess, spell talk worked as both a sidetrack and a rein. Worry pulled the group close when trust wobbled. The louder the yells on dark sides, the quieter the gripes against the speakers themselves. Blames often kicked off as soft murmurs. A helper lass taking sick, a beast dropping odd-like, a gal grumbling post-gathering. But once doubt dug in, it spread fast as dry grass aflame. Church heads gave weight to the chatter, turning whispers into holy insights. Judgment spots turned into arms of the front stand, and wild-eyed stories carried a heft of truth from on high. But those question times showed a raw twist. The ones most hooked on being clean often got twisted worse by clout. Some church folks use hunts to knock out naysayers or shift eyes from their own slips. A speaker nabbed for stepping out could shine again by calling out a spellcaster. In Salem and farther, being right turned into a cover for getting even. When the wild fear finally fizzled, it left a spooky quiet. Speakers who'd hollered on shadows now faced fingers for letting him loose. And for the first tick, settlers started pondering if bad really came from spell folks or from the ones railing against M. In a world stacked on word from on high and slips, few messes hit harder than stepping out, especially when it snagged the guys sworn to watch over goodness. Early America fixated on staying clean, yet always tangled in pulls. Behind shut doors, even church heads broke the big rules they blasted from up front. And when those flings bubbled up, they didn't just crack homes. They rattled whole groups. Open penalties for stepping out were harsh. In strict New England spots, regular folks caught in flings faced lashes, payouts, or that famous red mark sewn on. But when holy leaders tumbled, the show went full old book style. Speakers blamed for flings got pulled before their crowds, made a spill in front of the same folks they guided. But even the shame couldn't wash away the two-faced bit, 'cause the holy spot often shielded its own. One wild tale spun around Reverend Thomas Hooker's right hand, the smooth-talking Samuel Willard in Boston. Chatter spread, he'd gone too far with a wedded follower. The talk hit the older folks, but the group handled it careful. Too many big names backed him. His slip got hushed up while smaller fry got wrecked. The mess showed a tough truth. Right and wrong bent when clout stepped in. Other speakers weren't so fortunate. In tinier spots, blames wrecked whole groups. A leader's fling could split folks in the sides, one begging mercy, the other howling for payback. Weekly words turned into shame arenas, and every line on old kings and their wrongs hit too close. Some leaders nabbed and guilt skipped town. Others dug in deeper, railing harder against wants, hoping big yells at private shame. For ladies, the hit was way worse. A speaker might get a pass after watery eyes spilling, but his partner got marked eternal. Troublemaker or tempter. She'd get booted while he climbed back up front. Those places demanded ladies stay spotless yet winked at guys' sway. A bent rule blessed by old words and held by messes. In the wrap-up, every hidden want turned into its own lesson. Early America's hook on being right made it blind to its own mirror. Behind every hot warning of doom stood a shaky spirit, wishing not for rescue, but that nobody spotted what went on after sundown. In early America, spilling guts wasn't lone heart chat. It was a show. Belief called for big displays. And nowhere showed that clearer than the ways of open shame. Those places reckoned wrongdoing needed cleaning through making folks squirm. Whether stepping out, getting sloshed, or speaking a little above, every wrong against the divine needed to act before the whole bunch. The strict ones held clean check sessions, casual hearings where next doors turned judges, and chatter turned proof. The blame stood front and center, while speakers grilled them in heavenly name. Watery eyes, shakes, and sorries were a must. Anything short of full turnaround was sign of shadow pride. Ladies often sobbed through these, heads dipped under simple covers, while guys mumbled on old curses lingering. Speakers, sure thing, ran these shows, sometimes the same fellas hauling their own hidden slips. In spots like Ipswich and Salem, the holy den turned into a peek-at-soul stage. Weekly words retold wrongs in bright colors, turning spills into right living fun. The true ones murmured wishes for the dropped spirit, then buzzed on M for days. Letting go was holler from up front, but seldom done in the lanes. Penalties were made to nudge everyone on their spot under watchful eyes. Steppers out paraded in rough cloth. Ill speakers wore with bits as marks of bad words. In bad cases, folks got stripes or burns. The aim wasn't fixing. It was worry. Every hit drove home that rescue hung not just on trust, but bowing to the setup. But these ways showed more on holding reins and true goodness. Speakers and older folks swung shame like a stick to hush questions, especially from ladies or lower folks. A broke widow blamed for bold ways could get wrecked. A rich trader nabbed same could spill quiet with a gift to the holy spot. Belief claimed to wash clean, but really propped up ranks. Over time, even deep trusters sensed the mean under the good. The same trust promising free from wrong had turned into a boss system where letting go hung on terms. Spills were pushed, and goodness hung not on your spirit, but your spot in the crowd. Come early 1700s, early holy ways had turned into a looking glass, showing its own twists. Speakers holler clean while hiding rot. Crowds beg for right order, yet love the buzz. The louder a fella claimed saintly, the more likely whispers on his lips. Two-Face became the quiet glue sticking a shaky bunch together. Showing up at holy spots was almost must, but trust was often just acting. Kin dressed sharp, sat through long talks, nodded grave as speakers slammed fancy and grabbing. Only chat land swaps and messes over eats. Rest day for turning around, work day for tales. Even the words themselves turned into game tools, shaped to sweet-talk rich backers or hit foes under heavenly cover. Old day books show how deep this Two-Face wove into every day. Ladies noted speakers scolding pride while asking lone chats. Guys admitted twisting old words for gain. One Boston trader spilled going to holy for deals more than heart, since shakes sealed after words. The holy spot wasn't just spirit safe. It was a trade floor for names. The Two-Face stretched past singles. Whole groups played at right while guarding own messes. When a top older's boy got nabbed stepping out, it got handled soft, but a helper last blamed, quick and open hit. Bent rules got backed by old words, bent to keep ranks of kind and standing. Wrong wasn't weighed by what, but who. Speakers, once the sure light guides, started losing their heavenly glow. Too many nabbed in twists, railing against pulls while sneaking tastes. The front spot, once scary, turned into doubt stage. Folks buzzed during words, wondering if speakers' drops were real or practiced. This slow were planted bits for fresh trust, one rising later with big stir. Folks craved real over show, kindness over judge. But in that tick, the places stayed stuck in their good act play. They sang turn-around tunes with mouths that fibbed and wished to a divine who'd likely tuned out their Two-Face by then. By the 1730s, those places had grown tired of empty words and right masks. The Two-Face of old holy spots had sucked the spark from trust, then hit the big stir, a rush of fresh life sweeping like wildfire through spots. Wandering speakers boomed across open spots and gathered dens, pushing folks to drop axe and face slips head-on. For the first, holy turned heartfelt, raw, personal. Guys like George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards busted the quiet of old worship. Their calls rose not from fancy with stands, but open skies where crowds sobbed and yelled under the blue. Edwards' big word, wrongdoers and mad divine hands, painted rescue as a shaky string over hot pits. Worry, fire, turn around mixed till trust felt breathing again. But this stir wasn't just spirit, it was crowd pushback. The wave hit the set leaders, showing their grabs and slips. Regular folks didn't need nods from speakers to chat divine. Ladies, helpers, even bound folks found words in fresh meats, sharing sights, night visions, heavenly pulls. The big stir handed sway to the very ones early holy had hushed long, set holy spots freaked. Speakers called fresh ones wild, blaming em for wild fields. Printed bits flew like shots, words mocking words, blames of fake sights and wrong heart stuff. The fresh that swore clean instead showed the muck under the setup. When fresh ones sobbed open for kindness, old leaders sniffed it bold. But under that look down was worry. Worry of losing hold on stand and coins. Messes grew as fresh leaders claiming heavenly show tumbled into old pits. Smooth fresh ones nabbed in flings, wrong use of gifts or booming end days for gain. The crowd, once teary, started questioning if any divine man could really get trust. But for all the mess, the big stir ripped off Holy's cover. It showed trust as weak yet strong, a push that could spark free from wrong or like crazy. In aiming to wash the places, fresh ones did something riskier. They made folks see wrong didn't lurk in wilds or spell folks, but in every beating chest their own too. As those places stepped toward big change, the heart storms of past 100 left a lasting scar. Trust started as safe spot, a rescue place in wild, unsure world. But by mid-1700s, it turned blade and guard. Speakers called old words to bless pushback, just as old ones used to back bowing. Holy spots that once slammed questions now hollered free, from same stands where spell folks got cursed. Trust learned to shift looks with times, and mess stayed its tail. The lines between running things, right, wrong, and heavenly want muddied full. Preachers use words to rally fighters, likening far king to old bad ruler and places to chosen kin. Crowds cheered, forgetting how short back. Same word slammed pushback as shadow ego. The two-faced that once soured wholly now fueled big change. America's want for free birth partly from ages of spirit reigns. Folks tired of spilling to guys slipping same. But even in this fresh time, old ways hung on. Speakers blamed foes for hidden side-taking, and game opponents got marked divine foes. Right goodness turned tool again, this time proving love for land. Trust still held sway to bless or wreck names. Being heavenly meant true to cause. Doubting wrist boot. The places swapped one boss for another, now wrapped in heavenly talk. But mess legacy never faded true. It shifted. Instead of hunts and open stripes, came printed fights and soft blames of stepping out or wrong think. Trust kept watch on spirit. Now through name, not rule. The front spot sway moved, but didn't dim. In rap, early America's biggest slip wasn't stepping out ill speak or grab. It was thinking trust and clout could mix without rot. Every word, every mess, every spill proved other. The places stepped free with holy spots still split, leaders still flawed, believers still human, forever snagged between rescue and shame. And so the tale of holy and young America ended as started. Not with clean, but with uneasy fact that same trust-building land nearly doomed it. In the 1630s, the Big Bay spot stood as glowing sample of strict drive, a model goodkin run by old words and tight hold. Its starters reckoned they built divine ground spot, a glow on rise for world to eye. But under that pulled-together dream, breaks already showed. The place boomed. Sure, towns growing, holy spots multiplying, but running it choked. Clout sat with tiny ring of rule keepers and speakers claiming divine voice. For regular comers, it felt less wholly safe and more blessed trap. Among the uneasy was Thomas Hooker, honored speaker and thinker from old land spot. Hooker fled hard times home, hoping spirit free in fresh world. But what hit was no free at all. The strict heads, led by top man John Winthrop, held only full holy members could pick or hold spot. Rescue, they figured, gave a fella not just spirit, but say, Hooker saw risk in that mix of rescue and clout. He reckoned running should rest on folks, okay, not just picked ones gnawed. Hooker's words started stirring worry. He shared divine kindness, didn't make fellas better in world stuff, and every free guy deserved input on rule. To some, his talk wrong think. To others, free breath. The place's older folks feared his bits would unwind their shaky divine rule. A speaker questioning rescue clout link was more than deep fuss. It was game threat. By 1635, pull between Hooker and Big Bay bosses hit break. Debates heated, word sharper. Hooker's followers, growers, makers, comers, tired of stiff hold, dreamed fresh start. They know want live under guys linking question to wrong. And so under trust flags, bits of pushback, quiet planted. Hooker wouldn't stick to fix for men. He'd build new beyond edges. A spot where holy and run could stand without choking each. A dream soon reshaping free rule. In spring 1636, Thomas Hooker pulled his group in Old Spot and laid news shaking the place. They leaving not back old, not set town, but wild untamed west beyond big court hold. To most strict heads, sounded crazy. To Hooker and his, A holy walk, not boot, but sure heart. The choice both deep and game. Hooker reckoned Big Bay betrayed own claims. Leaders built set up preaching equal before divine, but doing top few and run. Only seen saved had pick or game life right. To Hooker, boss dress good. He said base of clout laden folks free okay. Wild notion ages ahead. One couldn't live under Winthrop's hold. In June that year, Hooker led round 100 guys, gals young his whole bunch, on tough haul through fresh wild. They loaded beast poles with bits, seeds, tools, old books, and rock-solid trust divine called bigger. For 2 weeks they pushed west through thick bug woods, over swell waters. No paths, no stops, just trust and grit. Tales from haul tell where, and empty bellies, yet tight bond. Nights, comers camped under stars, singing tunes, wishing strength. Hooker, 50s and ailing, rode front on beast, his drive unbroken. He told followers hard was divine like struggle price of free. When finally hit rich dip of Long River, wild must seemed heaven gift. Good dirt clean flow, open stretch all ways. Here, far from tall shadows, they plant grows and thoughts. The spot they started, Hartford, not just safe. It was called that free, born trust must pick, not push. The Long River dip more than fresh den. A blank page. For Thomas Hooker and his start in 1636 test of trust and base. They named Hartford after Hooker's old spot. But base not old miss. It built on pushback. Quiet right push against Big Bay stiff ranks. From jump, Hartford's comers clear. This no other divine boss dressed vote. In Big Bay, speakers and rule keepers hand, saying divine picks set game worth. In Connecticut, Hooker and bunch sought run rooted crowd, okay over holy perk. Though strict spirit, they ditched notion rescue set citizen. Every guy, long as pardon under rules, deserved voice. Daily in Hartford harsh, but aim-filled. Comers cleared trees, built plain gather spots, till good dirt soon self-feed. Winters mean. Beasts howled dark, hunger nipped trust edges. Yet comers sure never wobbled. They reckon hard, blessed by divine aim, prove order without boss. Hooker's shadow hung over place like guide star, though quiet speak, unbend on run from govern okay. His words echoed Hartford rough with holy, saying in common good matters, all equal say right. To folks use boss from far speakers. His bit sparked, but bold try not unseen. Back Boston, Winthrop and Big Bay lead saw Connecticut free as risk. To them, Hooker's spot spirit spread, hit the divine way. Yet Hartford when clear. Groves boomed, trade grew. Near spots Wethersfield and Windsor soon linked in area tie. In short years, what started Dent walk turned thriving heart spot. Hooker's push no longer wild whisper. It breathing, living bunch, one daring set free own way. By 1639, spots along Long River, Hartford, Windsor, Wethersfield, grown strong face big question. How self-run? They fled Big Bay escape stiff, but free alone not enough. No rules, even freak a mess. Thomas Hooker, where from age sick, guy to answer, try and run echo history. Result fundamental orders of Connecticut, taken January 1639. To later kin, first wrote base in Westworld. But makers bond, holy deal among same. Unlike Big Bay, where citizen vote bound holy member, order said game clout from folks free okay. Run not divine perk, but human hold. Paper laid self-rule frame. Called pick top rule keepers, general court chosen free guys, not set speakers or holy old. Laws made by answer to governed. Modest look, but wild base. First new world. Run claimed right from folks over divine stand-ins. Hooker's mark clear, though not writer. His words planted think roots. Years back, preached base clout laid folks free okay. Now words law. Simple wild notion run gets power from governed one day back united base. For Hooker's followers, orders take mark trust win through think. They reckon honor divine granting free, not hoard. Place cheer with wishes, thanks, fresh divine aim, but bold carried risk. To Big Bay, Connecticut New Run looked wild vote way. Spirit game push. Still, hookers comers held. In quiet freeze long river dip, change started not fought shots, but thoughts ink paper sealed sure. Connecticut's soft change not unseen. To Big Bay lead, hookers spot not kinset. It rogue. Thought guys could self-run. Without holy watch more than wrong think. It game spread. Big Bay rule keepers fear hooker way spread. Their divine rap clout crumble. So started cool scrap words, deep think pride. First, pull rap nice. Big Bay sent notes question Connecticut, right set free run. Without okay from old king paper. Reminded hooker allies long river land. Once claimed Big Bay traders. Under nice words ran clear worn. Bow Boston clout or face rule spirit hits. Hooker answered not push, but old words. His words reminded group even old leads sought folks' input before wild lead. Clout argued must serve governed, not boss. His bit spread quick, hand-copied, carried spot to spot. For many across fresh England, Hooker's stand gave voice long, felt dare not say. Good and ranks not same. Big Bay speakers hit back, labeling Hooker's spot grow ground wrong mess. Some blamed so chaos bits. Others hinted vote thoughts invite divine mad. Yet Hooker's followers steady. They skip Big Bay words. No shares Boston holy, even no obey calls. For folks raise obey clout holy must. Such stand nothing short change spark. Fuss soon spilled judgment spots. Big Bay tried reclaim river towns through king paper's trade blocks, but Connecticut firm. Back ties local kin tribes grow boom. Comers held. And Big Bay saw force only split strict cause. Hooker won. Not push blood, but sure. Connecticut stayed free. Living proof right clout no need Big Bay bless. Only got stand apart. Free cost. Connecticut comers, though spirit game free. Ring challenges test drive far more deep debates. Long river dip fertile, but fought land. Home strong local kin like water folks and wind kin wanted Dutch traders new nether. Hooker's followers left Big Bay build divine share, but soon fought live bear. Closest threat from waterkin. Control much first swap area. Pull between water, English, rival kin simmer years. But 1637 blow open fight. Known water war. One bloodiest early America. Connecticut towns, Hartford, Wethersfield, Windsor. Still young weak, guard soft. But under lead John Mason, comers hit brutal sharp. Dawn hit water strong at mist. Colonist kin ties set fire village, and hundreds. Masson stunned even strict themselves. Called divine judge, wind from above. But private, some wonder if new bunch already marked blood. Hooker, no fighter, wished open forgive peace. War secured Connecticut safe. But woke place right cause take. Beyond fight, edge life test comers grit daily. Winters punish. 6 sweep sets merciless fast. Beasts hunger haunt darks. Yet same folks challenge Boston spirit boss, refuse give natures. They built grinds along flow. Learn spots young. Meet dens double strongholds. Every rest day. Hooker's words remind adversity divine like above refined chosen through try, not ease. By early 1640s, Connecticut live famine, fight, a lone game. Would start daring walk mature tough bunch. But place mark, free, stand right self-sure. Forge not just trust law, but flame. Wild tests, they learn thrive. By early 1640s, Connecticut come from risk young. No longer weak out, but workplace bound share thoughts. Comers Hall wild with Thomas Hooker now face hard build last. Rule learn swap, talk. If Big Bay model stiff divine, Connecticut proved good folks self-run without boss. Center this dream community. Each town, Hartford, Windsor, Wethersfield. Work small share. Hold regular town meets, free guys debate pays, land fights guard. These meets lively, full argue old words equal. Regular growers speak side rule keepers. Calls made vote, not say. First English places. Vote way not far think. It daily. Hooker push read learn. Reckon self-run folks must schooled. Place at learns. Sure young read old book. Invite speakers teach not just deep, but right think. In Hartford. Hooker's Holy Center debate hub. Melt pot thoughts later shape America heart. He governed self. Hooker once say, no fear other rule. Became quiet say for kin come. Coinway, place boom. Long river dip made plenty grows. Trade bloom near places local kin. Boats carry wood, seed, furs down flow long sound. Link Hartford wide water world. But even when Connecticut keep humble. Rich, Hooker warn, quick grace if not tie good. Boom, insist, must serve right, not swap. Still, challenges hang. Holy spats flare now then, questions clout test soft balance free order. Yet match iron hold Big Bay. Connecticut run remarkable open. Question not cheer, but rare crush. In this soft balance trust free law heart, Connecticut find strong. Bunch build not fear slip, but trust man right can. Against odds, Hooker's dream route. New order wild land run not say. But sure, while Connecticut comers build vote safe wild, shadow loom cross water. Old land mom spot fled unwind. By 1640s, inner fight break King Charles I Parliament. Across places, side split, some wish king, others see fall divine right. For Connecticut, scrap far deep personal. Holby quiet argue against one rule. Hookers teach sudden see ahead. Claim clout rest govern okay, now echo parliament hit king. In Old Hub, such words betray. In Hartford, good word. Connecticut comers watch unfold grim pull. Head cut monarch, rise Oliver Cromwell. Dream share old land self. Short tick, seem thoughts born new world test old. But mess bring risk. King cloud America weak, old papers mess. Big Bay use chaos grow land claims. Insist Connecticut no right self-run. Without king stamp. Fuss revive old pull. Time seem possible Hookers place face game swallow Puritan foe. Connecticut leads, answer talk not stand. Sent senders old land, plead case parliament later Cromwell run. Message simple. Connecticut true old land, but run folks okay. Cromwell, feel strict free, left peace. But learn teach place valuable lesson liberty, no guard vanish pen stroke. Through period, Thomas Hooker stay hard anchor. Though health fail, preach tie watch, warn free weak must defend not blades but steady trust. His place say, must serve light set rise, glow away all seek right thing together. As old land burn in her fight, Connecticut stand steady small, stand, sure aim, prove run heart, outlast run crown. By time Thomas Hooker passed 1647, body frail, but thoughts already root new world. Man once walk wild head weary comers left bigger town. Left first draw vote American dirt. His name might never carry shine went to Bradford, but dream quiet shape heart build nation yet born. Hooker's last year spent Hartford. Keep share guide flock through sick, empty, linger fears local hit. Yet hard, refuse bend down. His words grow soft, but sharp mean push mercy over judge, same over perk. When other strict leads hook slip, Hooker share heart, divine voice every guy. Told folks true clout, not give speakers monarchs, but both speak through bunch wise self. After pass, followers carry light forward. Base orders stay Connecticut run base, living mark is base. Even Nay's Big Bay grudging admit Hooker place do remarkable, steady without boss. Kin later, his words echo America change talk when Loveland say run get just powers govern okay. Those lines often give light thinkers born pulpit strict speaker wild edge. Hooker's sway outlived divine rule challenge, while Big Bay cling narrow right. Connecticut more pull system draw comers across fresh England. Place thrive peace boom. Its folks proud run balance free law. Even when king papers tops later try claim hold, Connecticut vote ways prove hard uproot. In Big America tale, Hooker's march long river more move. It trusts say human right can. His place stand proof heart, not push, bind folks. And that truth lay bit future share. Now, we're wandering back to those foggy old streets of Victorian London, where over 1 million folks hung on by a thread, teetering right on the edge of total ruin. Picture hundreds of thousands either drifting like ghosts through the misty lanes without a roof, or packed tight into dingy back alleys that stank of rot, sickness, and folks just try to hang on. If luck turns sour on you, maybe a job vanished into thin air, the family earner passed on sudden, or one bad break after another yanked away your last bit of steady ground. Your only thin barrier against the sharp chill, rough hands grabbing at you, or the endless pokes from watchful lawmen was scraping up a handful of tiny coins for one of 3 rough choices: a 1-cent spot to perch awake, a 2-cent drape over a line, or a 4-cent box to curl in. These weren't cozy spots to rest easy. They were raw deals for making it through another night. Sad trades that showed the city's hard heart. This here's a straight-up story of what it felt like for all those souls stuck picking from these bare-bone setups. A quiet yarn about holding on in a world that saw being broke not as a heartbreak to fix, but a wrong to smack down. A few cents? These days, that's just lint in your pocket. But back in the 1880s, under all that shiny empire glow, those bits of metal drew the slim divide between some kind of cover and flat-out nothing. Come up short, and you're left to the wind's mercy. Or tougher yet, the cops strolling the blocks with their sticks, nudging the worn out from stoops and underpasses. Keep moving, they'd bark, their heavy steps landing on sides already sore from tough times. The fancy crowd, tucked away in their stone castles, couldn't stand seeing you, a walking smudge on their perfect setup, a sign of laziness or bad habits in their eyes. Nah, you didn't fit their picture of moving forward. You were something to brush aside like old trash. Let me paint this 2-sided monster of a town for you, 'cause getting a feel for London back, that means seeing its split personality up close. On one side, it beat like the center of a huge kingdom, bossing over a chunk of the world with a firm grip. Big shops like that famous one flash fancy cloths and sparkles under twinkling glass lights. Pretty playhouses put on songs where gals in silky dresses wave fans of soft feathers. Swanky eating spots dished up birds roasted golden and bubbly drinks to the top folks. Wagons rattled over stone paths, carrying the kingdom's winners to dances and big meals. Their days a swirl of plenty paid for by far-off lands. But your side of town? That was a whole other nightmare. A tangled mess of skinny paths choked with grime, where open ditches ran full of waste that splashed under your shoes, growing bugs and fevers like wildflowers in rich dirt. Whole families, 10 or more, squeezed into one buggy room with tops drooping from wet, sides crawling with fuzz and critters. Kids with empty tummies puffed out played shoeless among heaps of animal mess and factory junk, their giggles bouncing faint against a non-stop rumble of machines. The breeze carried poison. Black clouds from countless fires blended with the stink of full pots, spoiling greens from stands, and the sharp tang of crowds too long without a wash. A newcomer from the fields once called it the reek of endless bad pits mixed with the sour huff of folks' hidden struggles, and that was being kind. Really, it could floor you if you weren't used to it, a thick haze that stuck to you like an extra skin of sadness. You've worked hard all day, if work showed up at all. Maybe you were down by the river, wading thigh-deep in its dirty edges when the water pulled back, digging through slime for dropped change, bits of fuel, or bent scraps to trade for tiny coins. Or out sweeping paths clear of endless animal droppings, so fine folks didn't dirty their edges, snagging a flipped half-cent if fortune smiled. Perhaps you dipped sticks in harsh stuff that burned your hands raw, a slow poison eating at your bones from inside, twisting your look into something sad and strange. No matter the grind that filled your time, it handed over just a sad sprinkle of sense, not near enough for a proper spot, with a warm fire and a bolt on the door, not even close. So as the sky dims and the cold bites deep like a sneaky critter, you're facing the same tough pick that weighed on so many. Where to rest your weary head. The big house for help, some kind-hearted but out-of-touch fixer might say from their comfy chair. Ha! That place is a pit you dodge with everything you've got. A tower of gloom where kin get split up, partners from each other, moms from their little ones, locked in different areas like wrongdoers. Inside, it's non-stop orders. Up at first light for grinding tasks like pulling apart old lines so your tips bleed, or cracking rocks in icy spots. Eats are thin mush that barely keeps you going. Handed out under sharp watches from keepers who see you as broken inside. Step through those doors and lots never step out. It's like a lockup for the crime of being poor, where dreams fade away. Nah, the open air seems better, you'd figure, till a passerby whispers, "Skip that trap, pal. Head for the rescue crew instead." The rescue crew, that's the helping army, started in 1865 by a bold talker named William Booth, who saw the broke not just as spirits to guide, but bodies to fill. They were change makers in sharp outfits, stepping into rough areas with music groups and hot meals, giving aid with a dash of wise words. But don't dream them up too grand. Their safe spots weren't fancy at all. Help came with talks and rules, and ease was a stranger. As you shuffle through the fading light, your belly twisting sharp like a thorn inside, you count your sad choices. A few cents. 1 for the upright perch, a misery of staying awake. 2 for the line drape, where rest came hanging loose. 4 for the box, a spot that echoed your final rest. You're missing 1 for that treat. So this evening, it's the perch or the cold. Imagine a rough end as you make your way. Drink dens shining with fake cheer, doors letting out slurred chuckles and the smell of cheap brew. Trade shops with fronts stuffed with pawn keepsakes, love bands, family treasures, the final bits of pride swapped for a bite. Ladies at edges, their gazes empty with giving up, offering the last thing they had. Young ones barely school age, feet bare and wild, pleading with open hands or slipping into pockets with quick touches. The fortunate soul fire sticks or droopy blooms. The unlucky face pains that mark deep. A fellow stumbles by, bending double in a rattle of coughs like a warning bell. You step aside, might be the wasting sickness, fever, or water bug. Illnesses tore through these paths like sparks in dry grass, and no one bothered to stop him. The breeze hums with sellers pushing carts of iffy goods, the clip of animal steps, the far-off hoot of a work whistle calling time. It's key to get this. Nobody just landed without a home back then from a simple slip. Nowadays, a rough patch, like work gone, doctor costs, might push someone over, but old-time no-home was a full crash. Your partner goes in a work mishap, leaving you a hungry mouth and no way to earn in a guy's world. Machines take over, making your hands useless. A hurt from too much labor leaves you slow, out of race, or you're left alone young, kicked out with hand-me-downs. Once down, getting up was like pushing a rock forever. The way things work wasn't to lift you, but to wear you out, hitting your flop with every step. Nearing a big bridge spot, the helping army's big safe looms like a guiding light or snare. A string of folks wins from the entrance, guys in tatters, gals holding wraps against the breeze, a handful of big-eyed young, though most wild kids skip such, liking tight groups under spans or in hidden nooks. Closer in, the smell thickens, a mix of dirty skin, wet cloth, and heavy hearts. Weeks without clean, outfits worn thin, you likely match. Going in, rasps an old fellow with gaps for smiles, his grin a broken fence. Step lively for a place. They go quick on chill nights like this. You dip your head, falling in line amid hacks, grumbles, and tugs over spots. A gal sways her fussy little one. An older sways like he might drop. New here, the old guy, Jackie says, asks, rubbing his tangled whiskers. Your jitters must show. Everybody recalls their first go at the upright spot. Been in this dance for ages. How's it feel? You ask. Hangs on your coins. Grab the drape if you got 2. The perch is straight torment. Can't dose straight up, and they walk around to keep your chin high. Splurge the extra, believe me. The gates swing wide, the line moves. Your pulse thumps. This is the low point, something you'd never pictured. Inside, a sharp-dressed helping officer takes your scent. his smooth face standing out against the grubby crowd. He glances flat. Another lost one to handle. Fresh. He spots your paws. Seats that way. No dozing, no drink, no scraps. Clear by dawn. The space stretches big and shadowy. Lamps throwing dances on lines with seats filled with tired forms. The air waves with damp sweat, old damp and hints of earlier broth. Warmer than out? Just a touch. Less freeze, more dull ache. You squeeze between Jack and a whispering stranger. Opposite, a thin-faced gal around 20. Her stare like pins. What you looking at? She bites. My bad, you whisper. Jack leans close. Ignore Mary. Out here since young. Turns you prickly. The place skips any niceties. No spots to eat, no pads. Just seats and a crush of folks. Hundreds packed. A wave of weariness. Up front, a helper grips a wise book. Before we rest, words and wishes. Sighs roll, but most sit blank. That's the cost pass ascent. The talk goes on rescue and slips. You hardly catch it through deep tiredness. Then the long night starts. The seat digs your back like a mean tool. Every dip gets a tap from watchers. Stay up, no rest. Middle of dark, the whisperer hacks wet and bad. Wasting, Jack murmurs, won't make warm days. The time drags like hurt animals. Back sore, eyes gritty, belly loud. The scent got no food, just this watch. But in the dim, soft talks weave. Tales swapped, sorry shared, even dark chuckles. What they name this hole. Jack waves. Pit of gloom? A gal adds. My man calls it wait for the end spot. Another, last cold time, a bunch stiff by light. Shocked, you ask if real. Jack lifts shoulder.